Rob, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your time. For those who haven't met you at a training or expo, can you share with everyone your name, your company name, where you guys are located?
Yeah, so my name is Rob Mafes. Our company is Global Cooling.
Yeah.
And we work probably 35 minutes from here. So this is right outside Orlando, Clermont area. So we work about 10, 15 minutes from Orlando. So
very good.
Yeah.
And just so people understand kind of the size and scope of your operation, how many guys you're running trucks wise? How many people in the office?
Yeah, so we have like 7 guys in trucks right now. We're probably the biggest we've ever been this summer. And I would say we have a lot of part-timers in the office, and a couple of them actually work from a different country remotely. So
interesting.
Yeah, so about 5 altogether. And then our office manager, my wife, obviously takes care of a lot of things too. So
yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Talk for a great reason. Business is going very well. Let's share with everyone the growth over the last couple of years in particular.
Yeah, so from last year to this year probably was the biggest growth. I think last year we did 1.5, and this year we're at 2.5 by the end of the year for sure. So we grew about 67% as I did the math. So I think this year was finally the eye-opening year where we kind of finally got it, or I finally got it. So
yeah,
it took a while, man.
That's interesting. Oh, I'm looking forward to digging into it.
Yeah.
And I know not only is the company doing well, you've been able to do some things you're passionate about because you have some systems in place. You have the right people in place. Kind of share with everyone, you've had a couple trips that you've been able to work remotely.
Yeah, so we're ministers as well. So we were able to travel in 2018 to Spain for 3 months. And then last year we went to Italy, Florence, or they call it Firenze in Italy, for 3 months as well.
Yeah.
So I was able to work remotely and let the business kind of run on its own while I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, and it gave us an opportunity to do other things and kind of still work. So we felt like we were living there, even though I still had a business. So it was really nice, and my family really enjoyed it too. So
yeah,
it
speaks to what you can do when you have, again, the right people and processes.
Yeah, definitely.
Want to get into the business for sure, but you have such a unique story. We've got to dig into that. So you were born in the Bronx, but then you grew up in Hawaii. So maybe kind of start your story from there.
Yeah, really weird. So when I was 12 years old, we were living in New York.
Yeah.
And my dad got remarried, and we moved to Hawaii, right next to Pearl Harbor on Oahu. So, and then we would still visit my mom every summer, go back and forth, Hawaii to New York. So that was interesting. So, but grew up there. And then that's when I got introduced to HVAC, air conditioning. Just walking with a friend of mine, older gentleman, that basically asked me, "What are you going to do when you graduate high school?" I don't know. I haven't thought about it. And he just mentioned out of the blue, air conditioning, and it stuck in my mind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the thing is, it was funny because after high school, I went to trade school in Hawaii.
Okay.
But the weirdest thing is, guess what the name of the school was?
What's that?
New York Institute of Hawaii.
Oh my.
That was weird.
Circle.
Full circle. Full circle.
Yeah.
Circle. So when I got out of trade school, I couldn't find a job in Hawaii.
Okay.
He forgot to tell me that most houses in Hawaii don't come with ACs.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s. So there's no ACs to fix. I got this, this trade license and experience, and I ended up working at a hardware store for like 2.5 years in Hawaii.
Yeah. And then you're like, okay, what inspired you to go, after 2.5 years, it'd be really easy just to go, this is what I'm going to do, or I'll go get another job on the island. Why decide to make this change?
Hardly anybody leaves paradise. So to this day, people ask me, why would you leave? But I had to. So we moved to the mainland, is what we called it, or I did by myself. And I couldn't just fathom going to school and not using it and spending thousands of dollars and working at a hardware store. So it was hard. I left my family. I left my friends.
Yeah.
I moved to Atlanta. And then I just got a job as probably the bottom of the bottom as an install helper runner.
Okay.
Yeah. There's nothing lower than that, by the way. But that's okay, because I'm glad it was a good start, because I say you can't fix it until you know how it's installed.
Right.
I know a lot of guys that never did installs and they're technicians, but I think learning how to install it, especially starting at the bottom, was great for me.
Yeah. How did you pick Atlanta, by the way?
Well, my biological mom, lived in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
So we moved there because she lived there out of the blue. And then 3.5 years later, I ended up moving to beautiful Florida. So January 1st, 2000 is when I moved here.
Okay. And then you worked for somebody in Florida for a while, or?
Yeah, I worked for the biggest, baddest air conditioning company in Florida. A company that just learned a lot of good things and bad things. So the funny thing with that company is I ended up riding around with a guy, his name is Vinny LaPlante, and like one of the smartest guys in the company. But you know how when you first start, you train with a guy and then they put you in a truck? I think they forgot about me because I was in the truck with him for 6 months, a half a year training with this guy.
Wow.
So I was picking this guy's brain every day, writing all the notes down because I wasn't a technician yet.
Yeah.
And then a half a year later, they put me into my own truck. And man, I had a wealth of knowledge. I was ready. Nowadays, they put you in a truck and they just throw you out there and what am I doing here? So that was a blessing in disguise. If it wasn't for that, I don't know where I would be right now, to be honest. Yeah.
So how long before you finally decided to open Global?
Yes, I was there for about 11 years at that company.
Wow.
And I said, well, it's time to move on to something else.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be easy, when you start your own company, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could fix anything. However, no business training at all.
Yeah.
So, man, was it rough.
So what year was that when you did it?
It's 2012. So my daughter was just born and I started my own company. So what a gamble that was. My wife was like, whoa, because she wasn't working. We just had a baby. We were living with our in-laws. Quit my job.
Yeah.
Start a business. This thing failed. Uh-oh.
Right.
So it was the timing was just there. I didn't do it on purpose, but yeah.
Sure. It just felt like the right time.
Man, yeah.
So 2012, it's a brand new business. It's not like you bought somebody a book of business.
Yeah.
How did you start getting customers? Was it word of mouth?
Well, I was working with my wife, right, which is good and bad at times. So she kicked me out of the house and I was in the garage. Yeah, that was cool. And I was just doing everything on my own, getting customers from Home Advisor. That was the main way. And then word of mouth and so forth. And then obviously it gets overwhelming. You can't do it on your own. Hire my first guy, hire my second guy. And then that's how it all started,
Right.
But it was good and bad at the same. I think a lot of people, when they start a business, they think you're going to get in your truck, you're going to run a call, you're going to collect the money, then you're going to go back home. And that's a fantasy, man.
Yeah.
That is a fantasy. That does not happen. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So some long hours.
Yeah. Long hours. And then when I got in the office, just worrying about these techs that I hired to make sure they do a good job like I would, that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were some of the hard lessons you learned over those early days?
Man, the early days is just trying to manage my guys properly. It was rough because, I almost had a nervous breakdown because of the pressure and the stress. I didn't realize you have to be good with people. I didn't realize that you have to make sure your techs do a good job. And I didn't realize how crazy customers could be either, especially here.
I was going to say Florida. I didn't get to that.
Let me tell you something right now. In Florida, I tell my guys, they can love you when you go in their home. You're like Superman. You fix their air conditioning. But if that unit breaks down that night and they have to sleep without AC, they will hate you the next day. They will turn into a monster, a sweaty monster at that. And it becomes different. People cannot live without AC. People will go to hotels.
Sure.
Rather than, because when it's cold, you could put on stuff. It doesn't matter if it's hot. It's sticky, it's nasty, and people get nuts, man. So dealing with these people, especially if my guy did a bad job, and it was our fault, and they're dealing with a customer like, this guy did this. Like, oh my gosh, I got to go out there myself and fix his stuff. It's tough, man.
Sure. Were you making money then, or were you just...
Yeah, we were making money, but I didn't realize how much money was going out. Like, money was coming in. You forget, like, oh my gosh, you got to pay the permit. You got to pay this bill. So, like, without having business train, I never went to school for business. People go to school, college for, business degrees and so forth. So it's like, who cares if the money's coming in? If the same amount is going out, what's the point? And that took me a while to figure out.
Right. So you find us in 2017, I believe, is what I saw. How did that happen? Someone reach out to you? Did you find us?
Goodman and Patrick.
Oh, okay.
Just got an email saying, welcoming people to this meeting here, Goodman. And that's how I first started. I went there, and then Patrick, came introduced and so forth. I was hesitant. My wife was hesitant too.
Yeah, so let's slow down. What made you even entertain going to this thing?
I couldn't do it on my own. I realized at that point, that you need some kind of help in order to do this. And I see guys struggling that I know now because they don't have that help or guidance. And without it, there's so many guys that start their own business here in Florida, and by the next year they're done.
Yeah.
You know, they know how to fix something, but running a business is tough, man.
Right. So you go to this event. What do you remember from the event?
I remember thinking about everything that he was talking about and realizing that, wow, this makes sense. This is exactly what I need. I mean, this is my pressure relief, you know, and because this is just too much. Like I said, I can fix anything, but I can't run a business. So I need help on what to do and, you know, making sure I have the right guys, the right customers, and how to control not just the money coming in, but going out.
Right. Right. So you were on board. There was no hesitancy?
My wife.
So how did we get on board?
So, you know, I'm just 50%. So to convince my other half, that's tough because she's always like has a lot of questions or like, are you sure about this? And I think I even got Patrick on the phone. We were on a 3-way. I'm like, I can't do this. You convince her. So he was talking to her and, you know, she finally said yes. And, but it's, you know, it's like, you don't know what to expect. So that's when we jumped into it.
It's a leap of faith for sure.
Yeah.
So you, you know, sign up. Next step is to go to executive perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You're on a plane to Dallas.
Yep.
What was that experience like?
You just realize how much you don't know.
Yeah.
Holy moly, you realize how much you don't know. So not just the training but talking to other successful business owners and them telling me all it is. I'm like, wow, you know, you wish you would have known this from the beginning.
Yeah.
But man, it takes years and then you find out that you need help. But if you would have found it from the beginning, you know, and then you would have relieved all that pressure and stress, man, it would have been awesome. But it takes a while to the light bulb. It's sure.
Think about the best thing you've learned on this podcast, or any podcast ever. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how life-changing was it? Did it change whether you could take vacations or where you vacation? Did it change how much time you spend with your family or what you could provide for your family? Now, I'm not saying learning new things that make a smaller impact isn't helpful. Of course it's helpful. So is hearing from people who've been in your shoes and who know what you're going through. It's why we made this podcast. And we hope you get new insights, tips, and techniques from it, as well as encouragement. But if you're looking for a truly life-changing transformation, then information alone isn't going to do it. You need a coach. I'm Rebecca Castle, CEO of Certain Path, and I know you need a coach because I needed one when I was in your shoes, running a home service business where I was the CEO, the head trainer, the ops manager, the salesperson, the call taker, and everything else. That's why I'm certain that knowledge isn't enough, because I'd been a coach to home contractors before starting my company. I knew all the stuff, the right things to do, the procedures and strategies, and I still needed a coach. Fortunately, I had one, so I was able to grow that tiny HVAC company large enough to sell it for life-changing money. And since coming back to what was then SGI and coaching other home service businesses through that same life-changing journey, I know what's possible when you're given the tools and a coach and a community. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll prove it to you. If you've got 90 minutes, I have a free virtual starter session that'll beat any podcast or seminar you've ever taken for delivering truly transformative content. It's free, no commitment. We just want to share with you 4 major things that we do think are the first steps to transforming your business. And all you have to do is go to mycertainpath.com and book a starter session. Because as helpful as our podcasts are, I'm betting you're going to find our starter sessions to be the best first steps you can take towards true transformation.
You said money was going out. Were you profitable at all, or were you losing money at that point? Or you weren't sure, maybe?
I mean, I was so bad of losing technicians that I told them that because they would have like side jobs, right?
Oh, okay.
And they knew that they weren't supposed to do it. But I was like, okay, I'll let you do your side job. We'll do it under global cooling and invoicing, and I'll give you 100% of the money that you guys make. So I was just doing stuff like that because I didn't know what to do and I didn't want them to leave. So it was one of those things where I look back, I'm like, wow, yeah, that was so stupid.
But you felt trapped in a way.
I did. Yeah. Always felt trapped. That was my biggest fear, of losing people and not finding anybody.
Understood.
Even now to this day, but
sure. So executive perspective, EP, we always say, okay, 2 or 3 things, focus on 2 or 3 big changes.
Yeah.
What were those 2 or 3 things that you left Dallas coming back? They're like, we got to get this done.
Pricing and people, man.
Yeah.
And then the process. It's actually 3. I say PPP, pricing, people, and the process. And I had none of them.
Okay.
None of them. I mean, I had people, but the right people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So what did that change look like? I mean, pricing's maybe the easiest because it's just changing numbers, even though it's hard to actually tell a price, right?
So, I mean, I hear these interviews and they say the same thing. Oh, man, I'm so scared to raise my prices. What are my customers going to say? Are they going to say that's too high and go to my competitor? So you always have these fears.
Right.
But we got a new price book. We put them in. And to our surprise, people didn't really complain.
Right.
You know, I was like, wow, okay. Man, maybe I should raise this higher.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
How do the guys respond? Because that's always something I hear. They're like, oh, we can't get it.
They always sell out of their own pockets. And I was like, I wouldn't pay this much. How am I going to tell a customer to pay this much for a service fee or for a contactor or a capacitor, you know? So,
Right.
I mean, when you know this is the price and then I say, okay, now you got to ask this, it's like, whoa, what happened there, you know?
Yeah. But you're like, we're going to do it.
We have to.
We have to.
Because money going out, you have to, you know, be able to accommodate that. So you have to raise your prices for more to come in, obviously. And that was the biggest challenge.
How much turnover then did you experience because of that?
Probably everybody at that time.
Yep.
In and out. And I guess my biggest problem was recruiting and hiring the right guys.
Right.
It's just, the light bulb just went off like last year.
Okay.
Yeah. COVID was the worst. It was the worst time. I had the wrong guys and it was during COVID. And people tease me all the time because I have a bed in my office, a foldable bed.
Yeah.
And when I get stressed out, I put that bed under my desk. I shut the lights off. I close my door and I just take a nap and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. So, and then I remember one time one of the girls were knocking. I was like sleeping on my floor, snoring. And she was like, hey, are you okay, Rob? Oh, yeah, sorry, just taking a nap and so forth. So,
Yeah.
you know, I would do that because during those times, it was just too much. Sometimes I would go home in tears to my wife because it was like, this is crazy.
Right.
You know, no equipment, COVID, the wrong guys. And I mean the absolute wrong guy. I had one guy who he had a company credit card and he paid his phone bill with it.
Oh, man.
I mean, he did tell me a couple of days later, even though I wouldn't find out. I was like, oh, so you knew you couldn't pay and you used a global cooling credit card. What are you, crazy? But that was like the norm going on and I just allowed it and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
So what, you know, how did you make the change? What finally you're like, that's enough?
Yeah. So after all that, I started really recruiting better. And
Okay.
a certain path always said that it's important. And some of the things that I learned, I should have took it more serious, but that was the one that I didn't take serious. I would interview a guy and like him. Hey, this guy's great. Okay, let's get hired.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not really digging in. I mean, and then I realized, man, people lie to you at these interviews.
Right.
Man, I mean, the guy's so great. And I told my guys all the time, it just takes 1 to 2 weeks before I realize if he's lying or telling the truth. They're like turning into a different person. I'm like, this wasn't the same guy. I mean, he's dressed all nice.
Yeah.
We're laughing, we're talking, joking. Oh, this guy's going to be awesome. I'm like, what happened to this guy?
Yeah.
That hasn't been so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you change? How did you change your recruiting, your interviewing?
Yeah, just asking deeper questions.
Yeah.
And then I would still hire him, but I would tell him, I'm going to let you ride with one of my guys a few days.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're supposed to do that. And my guy would ride with him and I would ask my guy, what do you think? Can he fix this? Is he a humble guy?
Right.
And then if he said yes, then we would try to get him in the truck and hire him and then let him ride around for another 2 or 3 weeks and analyze him and ask my guy. See, the thing is, like, they can hide it from me, but they can't hide it to my guy. So
Right.
the new guy didn't realize that all my other guys were spies.
Right. Right.
So I would say, hey, what do you think? How did he do? What did he say? And they would give me the feedback.
Yeah.
This new guy had no idea. They
Right.
thought, you know, they were all their friends, but they were just feeding me. And if it didn't work, time to move on and get somebody else, man.
The guys, the spies, the guys you trust. Yeah. They weren't all there, right away. It took time to find them. It sounded like you had a lot of bad apples. In the meantime, did you, honestly, just get kind of lucky with those guys? Or did you start asking the better questions and you hit home runs with those?
Yeah, 2 of my guys, Doug and Gary, they've been with me for a while. And they were my friends before.
Yeah.
So I trusted them, and I knew them. So those are two of my main spies, really. So it's funny because they don't realize, the new guys, that these two guys, we go kind of way back. So whatever you tell them, they're going to tell me. We had no idea. So I would get the real info from them, and be able to see, okay, we need to move on. And I would ask them, what do you think? You think this guy's going to last? You know how we are global cooling. Is he going to last? Is he going to fit it? And a lot of times it'd be like, I don't think so, Rob. I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
And they were always right. Usually.
Yeah. So what are some of the questions maybe that you started asking differently to get to the true root of who this person is, right? You mentioned you were interviewing a little bit better.
Yeah. So I don't really care if they can fix something because I knew we can train them. I wanted to learn about their personality and their morals and how they talked. And the main thing is, were they humble?
Yeah.
If you told them that they needed to do it this way, even though they thought this way was right, are they willing to say, oh, okay, yeah, you're right, let's do it this way?
Right.
If they're like, no, I've been doing this for a while, this is how it's supposed to be done, and I got one guy that's 35 years experience and a guy with 5 years experience telling this guy, no, this is the way it should be done. This guy has 35 years experience. What are you telling this guy? No, this is the way it should be done. Right. So if there would be a fight, or, I already knew that if he's going to do that, then everything else he was going to be hard-headed too.
Sure.
And sure enough, it was right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the people, that was one of the first things you said. You got to start getting better people. You got some good people in place. I think what were the other things? Processes you mentioned.
Pricing.
And pricing. So pricing was just what? Everything needed to go up, replacement pricing, service pricing.
Yeah. And it was hard because in Florida, there's so many air conditioning companies.
Right.
Our shop is here, and literally across the street, there's 3 other AC companies looking at me. And then right up the street, there's the biggest AC company in Florida that I used to work for 11 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how in the world am I going to get my prices higher than these guys? Because I know what their prices are. We're a smaller company.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest fear,
So how'd you get over it to go, hey, I just got to do it?
I just got to do it, man.
Yeah.
I got to win the customer, not with the price or anything else. We got to win them with global cooling and let them know about our guarantees, our warranties, our drug-tested technicians, background check, all the stuff they teach you here. We got to win them with value.
Yeah.
Because, or else the price shock is going to be like that. And, oh, no, I'm going to go with this guy. He's a lot lower.
Right.
And that happened a lot until my guys finally got it. Yeah.
Well, if you came from a big company, I'm guessing you experienced, I'm assuming that they did the uniforms, they did the shoe covers, nice trucks. They did all the value components, right?
The people I used to work for?
Yeah.
No.
They did not.
No.
Oh, wow. So
I didn't know what shoe covers were.
So that was all new to you as well?
I'll walk in the house muddy,
Is that right?
Yeah. It was, but I thought that was okay.
Yeah, sure.
Training, there was absolutely no.
So that was my next thing. I was going to go, hey, you got to be training. Oh, wow.
Training at all is like you just learn on your own. And this is the biggest company in Florida.
Yeah.
There's no training.
Wow.
At all.
Yeah.
The only time we had meetings is usually when somebody did something bad. Hey, don't do this again. Oh, okay. I mean, wow, no trainings.
Okay. So, all right. So, okay, price has got to go up. We talked about you getting better people. Well, so the value thing, when did you get uniforms and shoe covers? Was that all right away?
Yeah, it was right away. I realized we looked like bums. Yeah, I realized we looked like bums. So we had to get better dressed.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, I tell my guys, you always look the best. Go into a supply house, look at the other guys, other technicians. I seen one guy in slippers or Crocs, T-shirts, hair all messy. Yeah. They look like bums. And they're probably looking at us like, whoa. So we see the difference now, and, tuck our shirts in, look nice, everything like that. So yeah, it makes a big difference. And I know other companies notice because it's obvious when they see us. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so like you mentioned the guarantees and all that stuff. Was that when you redid your pricing, you have that all in the book there? That was all at that same time early on?
Yeah, that was all the same time.
Yeah.
But I was still hesitant, especially the 2-year money back guarantee, man, that threw me off.
Right.
I could not accept that wasn't going to happen. Right. 2-year money back guarantee if we do an installation. I'm like, oh my goodness, everybody's going to ask for their money back if we do a bad job. I was so scared.
Right.
Remember Abigail she was my coach and she was telling me that. And she was like, yeah, if you have it, don't worry about it. People barely ever ask for their money back, but still, that's nerve-wracking.
Sure.
Risk.
For sure.
Yeah.
But you said, like everything else, you got to take that leap.
Yeah, you got to take the leap. I think it only happened twice to us the whole time, but that was fine. It was for crazy reasons.
It happens. It's crazy people.
Crazy people. Yeah, crazy people. So whatever.
Yeah.
But for the majority of it, nothing.
Right. And you're priced right where you can sustain that. You
have
can
to be priced right. Yeah, you have to be priced right.
So the training, you did not come from a training culture.
No.
So what did that look like for you then? Did you go to a class right away? Did you get your guys going to classes? How did you get that established?
I trained so much with my guys. Yeah, they would probably sick of training, but I needed to do it because I realized they don't know. They know how to fix an AC, but customer service, putting shoe covers on, giving a business card, dressing nice, they didn't know it. And they thought that was weird too.
Right.
Because they also came from companies with no training.
Right.
So to do all this is like, what am I doing? This is weird. I came here to fix an AC.
Right.
What is all this?
Right.
So that's kind of hard for me and for them.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
Right. So how did you go to a class, or did you watch it online and then you just went every day role playing with them? I mean, I know you had a couple guys early on that were buddies that like, okay, Rob, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah. One of the veteran guys, man, he's been doing this for a long time and he's like, this is weird. I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
But we both did it together and we realized over time, because when I go to expos, I talk to people all the time and they always say training.
Right.
So I had to like get it in my mind.
Sure.
Okay, got to pay your guys for training. It'll help you in the long run. So you got to do it. So to this day, I mean, right now we train like 3 to 4 hours a week.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
got
great.
to.
What do you do? Like how do you find topics? Is it just situations that arise? How do you approach it?
It's funny because just during the day, like these thoughts would pop in my head and I got such a bad memory. So I thought of a topic. I got to write it down on my phone. Another topic. Oh, I got to write it down on my phone. So I try to praise the guys during the meeting, the reviews, the good things. And then sometimes it's a technical class for my new guys on how to fix this, how to fix that. And then we go into like videos from like ST, who's, helping me a lot now. Yeah. And also some of the things I learned from different expos and classes that we go over. So, and I said, listen, guys, all this that we're training, it's not going to mean anything unless you remember and do it in the field.
Right.
Otherwise it's just one ear in, one ear out the other. And it took some guys to realize it has to stick to work.
When you had the right people, did it become easier then?
It becomes easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I try to make it fun. Play like bingo.
Oh, good.
Prizes. In the morning, they're tired, so I can tell on their faces they're not paying attention. So I got to do something different.
Right.
We went to IHOP. We go to dinners and do different things to make it fun. We have office full of drinks and goodies, and just try to make it a good place, oasis to come to instead of just learning.
Yeah, for sure. Big part of training, doing the system performance report, giving people options so you can flip those sales. Did that happen when you got the right people on board, or when did you guys get better at that?
The funny thing is, I have the right people, but for them to buy into the process, I thought it was going to be like that, but they still hesitant even with the right people because they're not used to it.
Right.
Or they don't believe in it, or they think it's not going to work. So
Sure.
that was big, the SPR form.
Yeah.
Because it was just another added addition onto their service call,
Yeah.
And then you wonder if the guys are just checking boxes.
Well,
Do you actually do this, or are you just checking boxes?
Right. Right.
You don't know until you do a ride along. And then when you're riding along, they're checking the boxes. And then when you're not there, they're like, nah, so
Yeah.
that's the problem,
So, but you got the buy-in eventually.
I got the buy-in.
Yeah.
I know when I have to order more forms that they're doing their job.
Yeah.
If I see a stack of SPR forms and it's been on the desk for a while, I'm like, wait a second, this should be going like this and me ordering new SPR forms. Like,
Right.
why is it stuck at this level?
Right.
And I realized, wait a second.
Yeah.
Let me have a meeting about this,
Who's doing sales for the techs? Do their sales too?
Yeah, they're all sales. They're comfort advisor / technician.
Yeah.
So
Selling techs, whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So they had to learn the service process and then the sales process. So how did you get them up to speed? Can everyone sell, or do you only have a couple guys you feel comfortable?
everyone can sell.
Yeah.
However, it's a matter of us giving those calls to different guys. Right.
Sure.
If one guy that may not sell very well, if he's the only guy on call, then he's going to get those, right?
Yeah.
However, that's the other thing I learned, the right calls to the right people.
Right.
Oh man, that make a big difference. Before, we were just giving to everybody. I wasn't telling the girls in the office. So I think that's what clicked, and everything changed after that.
Think about the best thing you've learned on this podcast, or any podcast ever. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how life-changing was it? Did it change whether you could take vacations or where you vacation? Did it change how much time you spend with your family or what you could provide for your family? Now, I'm not saying learning new things that make a smaller impact isn't helpful. Of course it's helpful. So is hearing from people who've been in your shoes and who know what you're going through. It's why we made this podcast. And we hope you get new insights, tips, and techniques from it, as well as encouragement. But if you're looking for a truly life-changing transformation, then information alone isn't going to do it. You need a coach. I'm Rebecca Castle, CEO of Certain Path, and I know you need a coach because I needed one when I was in your shoes, running a home service business where I was the CEO, the head trainer, the ops manager, the salesperson, the call taker, and everything else. That's why I'm certain that knowledge isn't enough, because I'd been a coach to home contractors before starting my company. I knew all the stuff, the right things to do, the procedures and strategies, and I still needed a coach. Fortunately, I had one, so I was able to grow that tiny HVAC company large enough to sell it for life-changing money. And since coming back to what was then SGI and coaching other home service businesses through that same life-changing journey, I know what's possible when you're given the tools and a coach and a community. But you don't have to take my word for it. I'll prove it to you. If you've got 90 minutes, I have a free virtual starter session that'll beat any podcast or seminar you've ever taken for delivering truly transformative content. It's free, no commitment. We just want to share with you 4 major things that we do think are the first steps to transforming your business. And all you have to do is go to mycertainpath.com and book a starter session. Because as helpful as our podcasts are, I'm betting you're going to find our starter sessions to be the best first steps you can take towards true transformation.
Are you setting the board then every morning? And so Joe, that's 20-year-old system. That's got to, so Joe gets that lead. So you're making a decision, or do you have a dispatcher that does it?
Yeah, my office manager, Maddie, she does a great job of that. Right. And she takes the lead, and, I jump in here and there.
Yeah.
But we realized that we were just sending any call to any guy. And sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. And then we send the right call to the right guy, it would work. So the light bulb went on. Yeah. But I learned that at all these classes for years. It just never stuck.
It just takes time sometimes.
It takes time.
You said Patty was your office manager. Who does that?
Maddie,
excuse me. What's her background? Sounds like she's a key cog.
Oh yeah. No, another friend. And she was the daughter of a friend of mine, and I just hired her because I knew she was good. And then she's very smart, and good leader. And she was shy at first, but then all of a sudden she came out of her shell and kind of took over. So the guys love her because she's always constantly helping them, helps everybody. Like I said, me as well. So that helps out. And then my wife, obviously, she's in the background, but all the paperwork and the payroll and paying the bills and all that, I hate that stuff.
Sure.
She takes care of that 2 days, 3 days a week, and watches my daughter as well from home. So everybody's out. I'm the only one in the office,
Okay.
After COVID, all the girls said, no, we're staying home.
Okay.
Like, oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure then the phones are getting answered right? Because they're not there in the office. That's the biggest thing. Especially if leads are hard to come by. How do you monitor those calls?
Well, they're recorded so we can listen. And then everything we learn from classes, dispatch classes, we just keep helping the girls. And then now they have incentives where they can make money as well by, being able to close sales, VIPs or clubs and things like that. Yeah, though they want to do good, obviously, more money in their pocket. It's not an hourly job, so that helps out as well.
Yeah. So they're doing outbounding on different estimates?
Yeah, trying very hard.
Yeah.
We have, the thing is in Florida is people don't realize, like, in 2 weeks the slow season starts. We don't have heating calls.
Sure.
So they are HVAC. I don't know why HVAC is just vac here. So people don't even turn their heat on. So we have to bust out the maintenance plans.
Yeah.
So they're outbounding with estimates and open estimates and calling people and things like that. So, yeah.
Was that VIP program, was that something you put in place early on, or was that
Right away, man.
right away?
Right.
When you joined us, or when you first went into
No,
business?
when I joined you guys, that's one thing I realized, that the customers are not ours until they sign up.
Right.
And then once they sign up, then we can say it's our customer. If not, if their AC breaks, they'll call my competitor unless we put a sticker or something. But yeah. So I told my guys, and then they got an incentive. So of course they want to sell, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you're making all these changes. You see, you started 2017. Let's see, when did you start noticing things really growing and taking off? You're like, okay, we're doing some right things. We got the right people. We're doing they'll have the right processes in place.
Yeah, I think, like I said, after the COVID time is when everything changed.
Yeah.
I had to, get rid of these people. Some of them quit because they couldn't do what we wanted.
Right.
And then we started bringing in the right guys. And once we brought in the right guys, then everything changed. It's just that, like I said, you can have a great process and great pricing, but if you don't have the right guys, it doesn't. All three of them have to line up.
Yeah.
Pricing, people, and process.
So 21, 22, things just steadily. Where were you at 20, revenue-wise?
Ooh, still wasn't that great. I know it was probably $1 million.
Yeah.
But it kind of stayed
Yeah.
for a couple of years. Like I was looked at last year, and then that year I'm like, oh, nothing.
And you had all these headaches.
Yeah.
Money was probably still going out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, I felt like I was doing everything right, but the numbers weren't showing.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you learn the number side of the business, right? You said you had no, formal business education. I mean, to understand P&Ls and what KPIs need to be hit, that's a lot, right? So did you work with Sarah, or how did you get that all set up?
Patty first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Sarah, and realized that you don't know what to do until you get the training. So booking these meetings with them regularly, and we still today book now, me and my brother-in-law Ruben, who works from country of Georgia, him and his wife. And he's like way ahead in time. We book once a month meeting with Sarah, us three.
Yeah.
To get all that right. She looks at her P&L. And in the past 3 months, we've been at bottom line like almost 25%.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I know. I still can't believe it.
You're shaking your head.
No, I thought my brother-in-law keeps making mistakes. So I'm like, are you sure that number's right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is. So yeah, we've been, wow. I still can't believe it. It's amazing to me.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we talked about the VIP club. That's a great way to keep busy when, the off season. How are you finding though other leads, other new business? What's your advertising look like these days?
Yeah, we were one of the first Google LSA in this area.
Oh,
and I was like happy, and then all of a sudden everybody caught on. So now the list grew. So we're still getting calls from that. A lot of word of mouth. Customers. We use Redesign, so it helped. They do a great job of capturing calls of people coming to our website, and so forth. And they just come. I mean, sometimes I wonder where these people come from.
Yeah. So you're doing SEO and PPC with Redesign?
Yeah, I try PPC, but man, that's too expensive, so I have to stop it.
No, I understand.
Yeah, it's crazy because I mean, there's so many companies out there. That's a tough one. I tried it twice, and I keep
Yeah.
We'll see.
But you're doing the outbounding,
Outbounding.
You're not
open estimates.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, got to try and capture those.
Yeah.
Because so often people let those go. Any local stuff, small stuff, any community stuff, chambers, stuff like that?
Not really right now, even though we should. That's probably on the list of things that we should. So I'll be honest with you. There was like a lot of calls that came in. So I could have hired more guys, but like I think the calls fit the amount of people that we had this summer. So it kind of worked out, maybe next summer will be different.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just everything fell into play.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
As you keep adding guys, thinking about adding guys, well, how else are you going to recruit? Is it just all, the job boards and stuff like that? Or is it, you're always probably giving business cards out to people, see someone that's young, eager?
Man, I tell you what, I don't know if other people that work for other AC companies know about us, but we get calls a lot. We just had another call yesterday.
Really?
Of somebody that wants to join us and so forth. And I just kind of put him on a list, so I got so many technicians.
That's interesting.
That I can call, but, waiting for the right time. But I do call him and he comes in. As long as I have that same process that I go through of him riding around, my other guys spying on him, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we can tell. And even then, sometimes he still may not work out. So
Sure.
I always ready to pull the trigger. I don't mean to think negative, but I always have this thought in my mind, like, because I got burned so many times.
Right.
By guys in the past, my mind automatically thinks, I'm just going to wait for this guy to mess up. I'm just going to wait for this guy to mess up. And sometimes they surprise me and they stick.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. You cannot read somebody.
Right.
You don't know what's going on here and here
Sure.
until they actually get out. And
Sure.
know. Yeah.
Sure. All right. So again, buying the right people, you're doing all the training. The other big component of that for success is accountability. You know, it doesn't matter how great of a tech or person, everyone has off days. It's easy to let, the numbers slide. How do you address that? If you're seeing the KPIs and someone all of a sudden they're not closing what they need to close, or average tickets starting to slump, how do you kind of address that?
That's my biggest problem even now is accountability. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
It's not, especially when you get close to your guys.
Yeah.
And, you become friends, even though you should be a team. But yeah, I'm working on that right now. Because I know if they know that I'm not going to do or say anything, they're going to keep doing it.
Right.
What's the point, until I actually do something. So there's some accountability with, they don't get this if they do that. And
it's having conversations with them, I'm sure. You don't let it slide. You talk to them about it.
Yeah, and I keep bringing, I think one of the classes I learned from Mike Zeller, that there's a difference between, not knowing something and not doing it.
Yeah.
So if you don't know it, then we can train you.
Right.
But then once you know it and you don't do it, we got a problem now.
Right.
Because you know how to do it, but you don't want to. So why?
Yeah.
And I kind of help them to realize that there's got to be some accountability. Sure. If you make a decision that you're not going to follow the process.
Right. But now you know when those things happen. It's where maybe before it was everything kind of was just rolling and you didn't have a finger on the pulse that you do now.
Yeah.
Another big thing, right? Callbacks. That's a great way to kill gross margin. But your margins are really good right now. How do you minimize the callbacks on service, on install? Like you said, someone calls you at 2 a.m. and the air conditioning's not working, and they ain't happy. So how have you kept an eye on those, made sure those happen as much?
I keep telling my guys, especially my new guys, if you get stuck or you don't know something, don't gamble and try to fix it based on what you think. Call us. Call one of the guys. Don't leave the house. The moment you gamble and you think you got it fixed and you leave, we're going to end up coming back. And I tell my guys all the time, usually they're not the ones going back. It's another tech. And then that other tech gets the screaming and the yelling, and it was their mistake.
Yeah.
So help your teams out. Don't let them clean up your mess.
Yeah.
And that's gotten better. This summer, man, we had a lot less callbacks.
Yeah.
It was insane. And the main person that we hired incorrectly every year is an installer. You have a bad installer, that is the absolute worst.
Right.
Because this guy spent $10,000. His AC stopped working the same night. You better come out now. And that used to happen all the time. So we finally, got a great installer and he does a great job.
Yeah.
So less callbacks on the install. That's the big one.
Right. Right. But I like it. You had the conversation with everyone. Look, I mean, it's okay to call me and ask for help. I'm here to help you. I want you to succeed.
Yeah.
Where a lot of guys might get scared to call the boss. Right. And you make them aware, hey, if you make a gamble, it affects everybody else. So by coaching them through that, it seems like it's made of.
Yeah. They don't even have to call me. They can call another guy with experience.
Right.
So just call. Don't be embarrassed. You're not going to get in trouble.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest changes or things that maybe we didn't mention on how you're managing your technicians that made a big difference? Is there anything in it that you can point to? It's like everything's really working right now.
Yeah, just getting to know my guys more. And obviously you don't want to treat them as a number. They're a person. Everybody has feelings. Getting to know them on a personal level. They're all coming to Expo tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you for coming to Orlando. Saved me a lot of money on flights and hotels.
Yeah.
So they're excited about that. But just getting to know them on a regular basis and then asking them questions about their personal lives. And, they have to know that I care too. Because I came in from an environment where none of my managers care. You were a number. Just do your work. That's it. Do your work. That's it. I'm not going to train you. So do your work. I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I learned a lot of good things, but a lot of bad habits from working at other companies.
Yeah.
Where you say, I'm not going to do that with my guys. Yeah.
Why make that investment your guys should be in the field tomorrow making money, right? They could maybe sell 2-3 new systems tomorrow, but instead you're shutting down and they're coming here.
Yeah.
Why do that?
Well, I realized that training and getting together and doing other things is just as valuable. And the investment now, like tomorrow, we're not going to run any calls. I don't know. We're going to tell the customers when they call in. I'll have my office manager run a call, I guess. But that at the end of the day, it's going to help you in the long run.
Yeah.
You got to sacrifice here in order to be better in the long run.
Yeah.
So it's still summer, it's still hot, but I was like, hey guys, let's do this. Let's all go and so forth. But I realized that sometimes it's not about all money. It's not. And I don't really care too much. It's just, I want to be happy at work and I want my guys to be happy. So I don't want them to also think, oh, Rob's just all about money. No, it's not. Let's be a team. Let's joke around. Let's hang out. But when work is work, let's work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said the last year you guys really took off.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you can pinpoint and go, we did this really right or different that accelerated that growth?
Closing more installs.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in the summer, you should have an install or two every day for a small company. And last year, no, we had a lot of gaps, which is not good for revenue. So closing more, training more, upping the guy's commission was a big one.
Yeah.
You sell this, you can make more. Oh, wait a second. So training more on customer service, how to cope with, objections was another one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want it. Okay, they would leave. I don't want to buy. Oh, they leave. No, let's stay there. Let's talk. Let's go over everything. Call me. Let's have a game plan. We're just closing.
Yeah.
So, it was, I saw a lot of changes with that. Yeah.
Where I'm sure you had financing in place, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was an early change, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it working with Esty too? Because I mean, that's her sweet spot is sales. So we'll shoot some guidance there.
Definitely. I would have her live on Zoom with my guys, and she would train and help me, so they would understand. Listen, it's not just coming from me, guys. This is a program that we're all involved where these guys have experience. They know what they're doing. Take notes, listen to her, put it in the field, and I guarantee you're going to see the results. And they do, to their surprise, like, oh man, this thing really works. So yeah, and it's been working. I know it's just only going to get better, especially last summer.
Yeah.
I guess next summer.
She probably also was like, yeah, you can give more commission, but you got to make sure the prices reflect it too, right? You can't give away gross margin dollars. I know you want to keep them motivated, but you got to make sure it still hits it. It obviously is if the margins are what they are, like you're saying. Kind of looking back, I mean, a lot's changed in a short period of time.
Yeah.
How's your relationship with Certain Path impacted your business, impacted you personally?
Well, like I said, that was tough years. Oof, I think I had a nervous breakdown because it was just overwhelming. So when I got that email to go and check Certain Path out, I realized that I need it. So otherwise, I probably would have went out of business. So many AC guys in Florida come in and go out. I probably would have just been that other number. So it really helped me a lot to realize not just the stuff that I was doing right, but man, what I was doing wrong.
Yeah.
What I was doing wrong and to stop doing it,
Yeah.
So the classes, the expo, the training, all that, man, it's just bring it in. It's like a fire hose. I just couldn't take it. It was just so much knowledge. I just, wow, I can't do all that at once.
Right.
I wish I could, but
Sure.
It's little by little,
Yeah. Little by little, and you see the steady, you still know better. It's getting better and better.
Yeah.
How nice is it that the business is in a place now where you can go for 3 months and pursue, this is an admirable pursuit.
Yeah.
You're preaching to people, you're helping people. How nice is it that you're in a position you can do that?
It's wonderful. We're thinking about going to New Zealand this year.
Yeah.
So my wife is tired of going to cold places. So New Zealand is under the equator. So it's their summertime now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to know that the business can run like a smooth oiled machine without me there.
Yeah.
I still get involved because I take my computer, Wi-Fi, get on, check the schedule, all that. But knowing that I don't need to be there and I have people that are there that can run it and do well.
Right.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
Because it just makes your life a lot easier where it's the worrying is not there anymore.
Right.
I really enjoy life in other areas, personal, religious, things like that.
So yeah, there's a lot of people that will stumble on this and maybe they are where you were before COVID or before you joined and you're like, I just am working my tail off and I'm not seeing anything. And I don't know what to do, but this guy seems to be doing well with this group. What would you say to them about going to a profit day like you did?
Yeah, is to take all that information, write as much notes down, study your notes on the plane back to wherever you came from, and put everything you're going to do that's more important at the top and get it done right away. But you got to get your prices right first. Start that right away and start getting on a maintenance plan with all your customers. Those are the two things first you need to have in play. If you don't put that in right away, nothing is going to work.
Right.
And then know how to recruit people, know how to hire them. And if they're not going to work, don't be afraid to let them go.
Yeah.
Once they know what to do and they don't do it, you got to cut the cord. Don't be afraid. Don't make the mistake that I made and keep thinking it's going to work. It's going to work. And it never did.
Yeah.
I mean, I have hope in people, but I was afraid to pull the trigger, and it messed me up for years. And then one that apple can mess everyone else up as well.
Yeah.
And I realized that. Yeah.
That's EP. But how about profit day? Someone even go to that meeting like you did and your wife went and you
the first one? Yeah.
The first one. I mean,
Yeah.
What would you say to them about, hey, go sit there, go talk to Patrick, go talk to someone?
Yeah, I would say you're going to listen and wonder what this is. This is weird. I'm a technician. What is all this about? And I had a lot of doubts. And I don't know if everyone in that room signed up, but I was wondering if they did or not. And probably the guys who didn't sign up, they're probably not in business anymore.
Possibly.
And then just really think about that you need help, that you can't do this on your own. It doesn't matter if you can fix an AC.
Yeah.
You can't do this on your own. You need some kind of help, guidance, instruction. You didn't go to business school. So how do you know about business? You don't know about money. You don't know about people. You don't know how to handle this, handle that. So you need help.
Yeah.
And, after you discuss it with your mate and she says yes, then you just do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much money you spend, you will make that money back. And that's what I learned.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to spend to make, but just spend it. It'll come back if you follow the instructions and the guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's global cooling look like in 3-5+ years? You're a young guy. Where are you hoping to grow it?
Well, we're hoping to hire more people, the right people. Once I hire the right people, I know more calls will eventually come in, and I might have to get out of the small little office we have. That's all-in-one office, training, eating, bathroom. There's everything. We can have the meeting in the bathroom, man. It's tiny. But, and obviously grow. And I'm not really in this to get real big.
Sure.
And one of the reasons is it's hard to find good people. So if I'm going to get big, I know it's going to be a slow pace.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be a slow pace, but I know how to do it now.
Right. Yeah.
And if I get too big, I probably won't be able to go to Italy for 3 months because it's going to be harder, more people, more money, more problems, even though the process is right. It's just so much going on.
Yeah.
So, you can't help your business from growing because people like you. They see your reviews.
Right.
But you got to get the right people.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. Don't grow too fast. You got to get the right people. If you have one bad person, it can ruin it for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I learned. So
Very good. Rob, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
thank you. Appreciate it.
The Successful Contractor podcast is part of the Certain Path family. Certain Path builds successful home service businesses and has for over 25 years. We do it by providing contractors with a proven path to success, professional coaching, software solutions, and a member community of 1,000 plus strong. Doubling your sales with a 20% net profit and an inspiring company culture is all possible. Let us show you the way. With Certain Path, success is made certain. Visit www.mycertainpath.com or call 888-909-6604 for more information.